Okay, everybody. If I know he was up already, but this man has got so many stories from grassroots to NASCAR to IMSA, I'm sure, everything. He's been around, so they say. And so if you want to wander back to the press room, and we're going to talk to Mr. Kile Harvey again, and he's going to share some more of his stories from all over racing. He's probably been in every aspect of it. He's been a driver, he's been a spotter, he's been car chiefs, everything. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Harvey right now.
Thank you, Jim. Just local funny story. You guys, if you remember Speedy Gonzalez that raced at Raceway Park. I was racing at Grundy one time, and I had a pretty severe accident going into turn 3. And I climbed out of the car, and I was walking around the car checking the car. And as a jokester, he starts yelling to the infield guys that I was hurt. Well, as you guys know, everybody that knows me knows how I walk. Well, they come flying up there with the ambulance, and they're trying to get me in the ambulance, and I won't get in the ambulance because I'm trying to tell them I'm not hurt. And now they're telling me I'm delirious, and they're trying to put me in the ambulance, but that was all perpetrated by Speedy Gonzalez.
Well, I heard the courts ruled that you were delirious, but that's
He was a great guy and a great friend. I mean, he was a laugh a minute too. But you know, I've been fortunate, like I said earlier, that I got to come from. You know, if it wasn't for Raceway Park and let's say Paul Bauer also, and that I wouldn't have gotten to where I got. And I've got great stories about. You know, I spotted for Danica Patrick. I've spotted for Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Jr. I mean, and you know, the stuff that goes on over the radio and that is just, it's priceless, and I know that a lot of people like to hear it. One of the stories I can tell you is that, and I got to drop the F-bomb, but...
Small children, cover your ears, please.
It doesn't work unless I use that.
No, that's fine.
But I'm spotting for Todd Bodine at Talladega, and he pancakes in the tri-oval, and he spits the drive shaft out. So I get him to the bottom, and I get him to turn and go back down pit road, and he goes in the garage. Well, for quite a few laps earlier, I noticed the presence of somebody behind me, and so finally I don't have to spot. So I turn around real slow, and I look to see who this is, and it's Smokey Yunick standing behind me of NASCAR fame. And I turned around and I said, "Hey, Mr. Yunick, how you doing?" And that man of that era, World War II veteran, says to me, "Don't you got a fucking job you're supposed to be doing?" And I said, "No, sir, that was us in the wreck, and you know, we're in the garage." And he pats me on the back, then he says, "Good job, kid." You know, so it's just the things I've got to do are just amazing, and the people I've met. And you know, one time at Daytona, Jay Leonard was driving the Corvette pace car. And that year when we went to Fontana, I had a niece that lived out there, and I went and visited my niece. And she asked me, I had a couple days extra, and she asked me anything I wanted to do. And I said, I always wanted to go on the Tonight Show back when it was Johnny Carson. So she says, well, let's go. You know, you don't get tickets. You just got to get in line. So we're getting in line out in Burbank Studios, and the guy comes out in the blue blazer, an NBC emblem on it. And he says, "Come with me." So he takes us out of line. We don't know nothing. We get inside the building, and he says, "Mr. Leno is inviting you to the green room." So we go to the green room. He's in there, and he's, you know, "Hey, yeah, how you doing, you know, guy, you know," and he saw us on a camera, and when he was in Daytona a few months before that, he had walked up to our trailer, and I was cooking tacos, and I made him a couple tacos. So he saw me, and so again through racing, I got to do great things, and he put us in the front row at the studio, where they always walk up the stairs to get people to sing and stuff like that. And then he proceeded to, after his monologue, do this whole bit about Dick Trickle and saying, "Yeah, the guy that spots for, I don't know, he doesn't understand." He's talking about that. I don't, I got to be the only guy that can understand what Dick Trickle says because he mumbles, And I mean, so these are some great things that I got to do. And Jim, and I talked about it, and he wanted me to share stories with you, I spotted for Jeff Green. I have a great Jeff Green story. I want to kind of give you a variety of people. We were at Talladega, and there's a red flag. Now we're going to go green, white, checker, and we're sitting second. And we're behind Jeff Gordon. So Jeff Green comes on the radio and asks me to go find Gordon's spotter and tell him that he wants to go to the top. Jeff Green wants to go to the top. And so I go find this guy named Shannon, and I said, hey, Jeff Green wants to go to the top. He's real good on the top. He wants to know if Jeff will go up there and run with him. So then he tells Jeff Gordon that, and then Jeff tells him, no way, I'm staying on the bottom. So I tell Jeff Green, no, he's staying on the bottom. He don't want to go up there. And then Green tells me, tell him again. Tell him I'm really, really good, and I'll push him. I promise I won't jump out of line. I'll push him to the front. And so Shannon tells him again, and Gordon says no. He's going to stay on the bottom. And so then Shannon tells me that again. I tell Jeff Green that. And then Shannon walks away. He gets about 8 or 10 feet away. He spins around and comes running back, and he goes, but Kyle, it's Jeff Gordon. He wanted us to just stay in line with him and go with him. Well, the moral of that story is Jeff Green, we take the green. He goes to the top. Nobody goes with us. I think we finished 16th. So, you can help them, but then sometimes you can't, you just do what you can, It's just an ongoing process with these guys, and like somebody asked me before what it was like to spot for Todd Bodine, and Todd was a handful. Jeff Bodine was terrible. You were just an ass, and you were damned if you did and damned if you didn't. And Brett Bodine was just a piece of cake. He was just an easy guy to spot for. And Todd Bodine, I was spotting for him at Richmond one time, and we got a guy right on our left rear sometime in the race, and I'm going inside, at the wheel, inside, and he screams at me when we get on a straightaway, don't talk to me when I'm in the turns. So about 2 laps later, this guy gets under us again. I don't say nothing. Well, that happens for about 2 laps in a row. And he goes, what the F, spotter? Are you helping me or aren't you? You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, you told me not to talk to you in the turns. It's like, So these things happen. That's just all part of racing, on that level. Dale Earnhardt Sr. one time, we were at Rockingham, and we were running 8th, and it was early in the race, and I had told him that the leaders were running a different line than he was running, and I told him where to run and move around, and he didn't say anything for a couple laps. And Earnhardt was the guy that he didn't talk on the radio that much anyway, and when you told him something, he would just key up, and you'd hear him key up when he would acknowledge that he heard you. And so this particular time, after I told him that, it was about 1 or 2 laps, and then he comes on the radio and he goes, spotter. He didn't call me by my name. He says, spotter. I go, yeah, Dale. He goes, you spot the effing car and I'll drive the car. So the race, usually he was gone. I mean, in the golf cart, out on the helipad catching the helicopter. I get down and put my stuff away, and he's standing by the side of the truck, and he goes, get over here. And so I go down there, and he squeezes my neck and just like bends me over, and he puts my face right in his face, and he goes, hey, you ain't mad at me, are you? Because he yelled at me, so I said, no, I got thick skin, so just a lot of that kind of stuff went on, and my relationship with Dick Trickle was phenomenal. I mean, we were at Homestead one year with Dick with the Snyder car, and he got right reared off a 2, and he hit the outside wall head on and then came back down to the inside wall, and he was in a blaze. It was just, the car was an inferno, and I'm yelling, Dick, get out of there. Dick, get out of there. And he ain't answered me. I said, can you hear me? Get out of there. And so I'm yelling louder because I'm thinking he's blacked out or knocked out. And so now I keep saying, and somebody comes on the radio from the garage or the pits and said, keep trying. So I start again. Dick, hear me, get out of there. Dick, get out of there. And then I look about 100 yards down the wall, and here he was sitting on the wall having a cigarette. he had already got out and was long gone before I never saw him get out, you know. So a lot of things like that. I'll tell one more Danica Patrick story, and then we'll let whoever's staying can get going. We were at Montreal, and Danica Patrick, that was the year that Danica ran over a gym shoe, and we were leading the race, so they had her. This is a kind of a two-part story. They had her on the track camera all the time because we were leading, and so I could watch the TV monitor. So I was spotting from the TV monitor because I figured out it was real time. So she's on the back part of the road course, and she goes, "Kyle, how can you see me?" I says, "I got a good eye on you. Don't worry about it." You know, and I didn't tell her I could see it on the TV. You know, I had this big screen in front of me. But I'll back up. In the early part of the race, she was complaining how hot it was, and it was really hot up there at Montreal, and it's hot. She's going on and on about it being hot, and she comes down the front stretch. I'm up in the grandstands in turn one, and I said, "Danica," she says, "Yeah, Kyle," and I said, "You're driving 3,500-pound taxi cabs. You're not in open wheel cars." And I says, "It's hot. It's going to be hot. It's going to get hot as we go through the summer." I said, "We have a job to do today, and I really need you to concentrate on what we have to do here today and drive the car." She didn't answer me. Like 3 laps later, she comes down the front straightaway. She says, "Kyle, you still there?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "You're right. I've been thinking about what you said." And she says, "We got a job to do here today, and I'm definitely going to pay attention and do my job." And she said, "But I got to tell you one thing." And I said, "What's that, Danica?" She says, "I'd pay somebody to blow up my skirt right now."
Well, I appreciate your time, Kyle, and it's always good to hear from you, and I'm glad you made it into town for this. I know you got a busy schedule, and I've known you for a while through other family members, and you've always been a great guy and so many aspects of racing, and we really appreciate you.
It's Jim that makes me be good.
Him?
Yeah.
Well, I understand.
Masters.
Oh, Engine Masters, yeah. Call out to Jim again. Call out to Jim from I know you want to come up here, Jim. But you got the dirt on all of us, so I really don't want you up here. Hello, Eddie. Kyle's pointing you up. You want to come up and say something? No?
Come on, I'll ask you the questions. Clay, come on.
The new up-and-coming star. Come on up.
Clay Curtis, this is my great nephew.
Are you really that great?
He's pretty darn good, I'll tell you that.
I don't know about all that.
At 13 years old, he's almost a couple-time track champion already, you know.
Well, we see you all over social media all the time, doing pretty good and running pretty strong in many different divisions.
Yeah.
So, what you got? You guys looks like you got some plans this year. I see new cars coming in and stuff like that.
Yeah, we picked up a new late model at the end of last year. We're gonna run the new late model this year at Grundy. Try and get a track championship. Go 2 years in a row championships and then see what we can do.
Sounds like a plan. Well, you got a good crew chief over there, I think, on Eddie. So, if he's your crew chief, I don't know.
Oh, that's the tire guy.
That's the tire guy. Okay.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started. What brought you to racing? Why did you want to race?
Well, I mean, my whole family's been involved in racing with you and uncles. My father raced, and it's kind of had no chance of not doing it, is what I like to say. Started off in 4 cylinders. Running South Bend, and then shortly after that, the next season, we jumped to late models, and I've been a late model ever since. But yeah, I'd say it all started with just family. I grew up in it. I remember visiting you in North Carolina and being on the pit practice crew with Bobby Dodder's team on one of the trucks, coming home with all kinds of souvenirs and stuff from all the shops, and yeah, that's kind of where it all started.
One thing I got to say about him, I haven't talked to him in a couple of years physically out, other than on the phone or something like that. Your voice has gotten really deep.
Yeah, I guess I'm not 13 anymore.
What's your big expectations for this year? We have an opportunity coming up that my niece called me and asked me, and he may be running Iowa in an ARCA car. And him and Eddie have asked me if I could take time out of my schedule or make time to spot for him there, and I absolutely going to do it. Tell him about that.
We're
You need money.
yeah, yeah. NASCAR racing is not cheap. We found out pretty fast, but yeah, we got some sponsors lined up. We're definitely looking for more. Running the ARCA race at Iowa alongside the Cup Series, and I believe the trucks are there as well, or Xfinity, one of them. But yeah, we're looking for help for sure. I think we're about set. We're getting close, but we definitely need more help.
Anything like an associate or any kind of help with tires or anything like that to get this kid up to the next level, get a little exposure. That's what we need, or he needs, and I'm going to volunteer my time, whatever it takes, to help him and introduce him to people. And I think, not to sound like I'm bragging, but I think if people know that he secured me to help him in this endeavor, that's going to help him too. You know, it's going to give him exposure to other, to some of the big teams and that. Keep talking.
I don't even know what else to say. Yeah, so our main title sponsor now is the University of Iowa Clubfoot Solutions, the hospital and the group of people that treated my clubfoot birth deformity. So they're helping us out. We're partnering up together to help spread the word and grow their brand and everything. And that's the plan, is do it in Iowa.
That's what we got caught on the clubfoot. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we all need to support our local guys. I'm sure I've seen him all over social media, so I know you people that are actually smart have seen him and know how to follow him. So make sure I know he's on Facebook, and I know he's got a lot of local support and family here that have helped him grow up through this and become what he is. So we're proud of you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
We hope you do very well. Just don't forget us when you're big and famous.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. No problem. Thank you. You sure you don't want nothing else?